Chris.
Hi, I'm Laura.
I'm super thirsty.
Me too. This is the Chris and Laura show, by the way, and it's really cool.
You see, it's Sunday afternoon here in Sydney, and it's just hit the cocktail hour. Well, you see, it hit the cocktail hour about an hour ago. And then we thought, we should make a drink, and we should talk about it on camera. And then we've spent the last hour deciding what we were going to do. So now I'm really thirsty and hungry. Have we got any snacks?
We do, but I ate some of them already.
There's not many snacks left. What do we got here?
Peanuts.
We got some peanuts, a few peanuts. It's not really good to, how are we going to do this? It's going to munch, we're going to be munching away in our microphones.
Well, you could have one and suck on it, and then I'll talk. I'm only kidding, only kidding.
Salty. Okay, well, we'll go in for the snacks later.
Yeah, we'll have snacks later.
Anyway, we'll do the drink first.
Yeah.
So today we're going to make a couple of cocktails. And what's interesting is that there are so many cocktails, but there are some pretty well-established formulas that you can play around with to kind of invent or come up with a cocktail of your own, that's to your taste. And a lot of them have already been done, but then you might choose to change out one ingredient and switch in another one, and then it becomes a new cocktail.
Yeah, I love sours. I love all kinds of sours. And why don't you talk about what that kind of a recipe looks like? Because you can make a sour out of pretty much any spirit.
It's true. And some of them have names. So a bartender saying, or for people that invent drinks, the four components of a drink that need to be used is something sour, something sweet, something strong, and something weak.
I like that. It's a little rhyme.
It is a little rhyme. Now, if you look at some really popular cocktails, and we're going to talk about, let's say, the margarita. What a great cocktail. So what we've got there is, it's made of tequila, right? Tequila! Is the strong. It's a spirit, 40% alcohol. Then it's got something sour, something tangy, something to cut through the spirit, something to cut through the sweetness. And in that case, it's lime juice. It's got something sweet. Now this is a little bit of a trick. In the case of a margarita, the something sweet is actually also a little bit strong. You're getting a 2-for-1 deal. So it's a triple sec, or it's an orange liqueur. And if you were going to make it with, I guess, the most popular variant, which would be Cointreau, Cointreau is itself 40%. So you're getting something, it's sweet, it's got that little bit of an orange flavor to it, but it also packs a punch on itself. And then we've got something weak, and in this case, it is water. Well, the water comes from ice. The ice is doing a dual role there. It's chilling down the drink, because we all want a nice cold cocktail, but it's also that weak. It's lengthening it, it's diluting it, and bringing it down to an alcohol level which is more palatable.
Would you say that the weak is pretty much always ice or water, or what are some other things that you might find? I mean, because when I think of that, I go, it seems like most of the things would be. That makes sense, would be water, because even if you're making like a highball or something like that, where you're using a Coke or a soda or something like that, that's going to be your sweet.
But it's
not. I mean, I guess it is weak, but it's fairly sweet. So.
No, but it is doing both again. So in that case, your Coke or your mixer is going to be adding that sweetness, and it's also going to be lengthening the drink. It's going to be the weak element as well. So certainly soft drinks. Soda water, fruit juices,
tonic,
orange juice, for example.
I like tonic.
You'd know a little bit about that.
Yes.
So today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of different variants for a nice drink for cocktail hour. Last hour.
I
All
love
right.
cocktail hour. It's one of my favorite hours of the day.
So we've got a couple of mixing glasses here, and we're going to build them both at the same time. Pink one for Laura,
Yay. Goes with my dress.
and a boring one for Chris. Goes with my personality.
Oh my, you're funny, sweetheart.
Okay, so we need, firstly we need some strong for Laura. We are going to use, what would you like, dear?
Well, I'm going to have a amaretto sour.
Okay.
I'd like one of those. And I was looking it up on the internet, and you can kind of have it two ways. So you can have just amaretto and lemon juice, or and some other and bitters and things, or you can have a bit of bourbon in it as well, which I really like because I'm a big fan of bourbon.
Well, given that we're talking about cocktails that kind of fit into that recipe, that structure today, let's throw some bourbon in it because then it's really strong.
Yeah, because bourbon is a higher ABV than amaretto, doesn't it? What's the ABV of both of those things?
40% for the bourbon. Here we're using Woodford Reserve bourbon.
I should have worn my glasses because I'm...
And the amaretto is a liqueur, so it's going to be down much lower, probably around 20%.
20%.
In fact, it is 20%. And the amaretto being a liqueur, that also is contributing our sweetness, which we'll get to in a second. So, actually, before we do that, it's always exciting to start with the main ingredient, but it's not good bartending. Given that I've never been a bartender, hence my faux pas. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to start with the cheapy ingredients, because if we mess it up, then we can throw it out and we haven't sacrificed 2 ounces of expensive liqueur.
Well, you also kind of want to start with ice anyways in the shaker, I would think, because if you put ice in when there's liquid in, you could...
Splashes, yeah. And I like that idea, but we're not going to today because we're doing lots of talking and it will be water by the time we get to shake it.
All right.
So yeah, you are right, but we won't.
All right, well, you can have a cover on your thing so when you put the ice in so it doesn't splat out.
We will do that.
Okay.
So we're going to start with some juice.
All right.
Okay, so we've got lemons and limes. Which one would you like?
The lemon.
Okay, now you do it for me.
Okay, which one would you like?
I'd like that arm, please. Look, conveniently...
I'm only kidding.
Conveniently, it's the lemon as well. You see, limes are really expensive at the moment, and we already juiced the lemon.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Just hold on a second before you go. I bought a bag of lemons today. There was an extra 2 more lemons, so 6 lemons today for $2.99.
Bargain.
And I bought 2 limes for $3. That's all. Anyway, I just
We will put those 2 limes to good use. Not today. All right, so here we go. We've got some lemon juice, and we're going to go, like that much. It's about 1.5 ounces. Would you like 1.5 ounces in yours too?
Sure.
Sure.
There's actually a ratio of these drinks. Like, what would you normally? I know that you normally say like two to, like.
Yeah.
Like 1 lemon or one acid to like 1 ounce of that to.
2 ounces of spirits to 1 ounce of juice to maybe half an ounce of sweet or 3/4 of an ounce of sweet. But again, it's going to be your personal preference. So I certainly like a strong and tangy drink.
Yeah, me too.
So we've kind of gone a little bit over on the lemon juice there.
Yeah, I think it would probably if you were making it in a bar and and the person was just ordering something and they didn't say they would like it specifically extra tangy, you'd probably have 1 ounce of lemon.
Yeah.
For 2 ounces.
Yeah, for 2 ounces of. I think that's true. And I think if you were making a daiquiri, classic daiquiri recipe would be 2 ounces of rum to 1 ounce of lime juice in that case.
Yeah.
To maybe half an ounce or 3/4 of an ounce of
Of
sugar.
sugar syrup, yeah.
Of sugar syrup, yeah. And speaking of, here's my sugar syrup, which I made just before. This is a 1-to-1 sugar syrup, which means that I've used just plain white sugar and water. I just tipped a bit of boiling water in there and shook it around a bit. But by weight, it was the same weight of sugar to water, and that's ends up a 1-to-1 sugar syrup. You can use different sugars and you can use different ratios. So, for example, you could use a demerara sugar, which is a richer, browner, more molassesy, granulated sugar.
Would you use a brown? You wouldn't use a brown sugar, would you? That would probably make the. It would depend on what you're making, because I think it would make the drink brown. You wouldn't want to add it to something clear.
It might be an ugly drink, and I think it would also impart quite that strong brown sugary note, which might actually go well with bourbon or some darker rums. But it would be very drink specific. That's not a versatile sugar syrup.
Can I tell you what's a really good sugar syrup?
What's a really good sugar syrup?
I'm going to show you what I use sometimes when I make old fashions or something else that has cherries for a garnish. Then I use the cherry juice, which is very dark, of course, but it's really tasty.
Are we going to do that in your amaretto sour here today?
I think not for today, but if I was making, I think when I'm making things like old fashions, where I'm putting like orange slices or I'm putting like more garnish in, I don't know, I find that quite nice to put a bit of the cherry syrup from the cherries.
Yeah.
Jar.
And if you're using a cocktail glass that is a coupe that has a curved bottom, or a martini style glass that has a V bottom, sometimes if you're a little generous with your spoon of cherry and you get some juice in, it sinks to the bottom and you get that nice little sweet bit at the end that you can drink out the bottom of the glass.
You get a little what? At the end you have a big sugar hit at the bottom. It's really great.
So you're probably not going to get that in a lot of classy bars, but folks, this ain't a classy bar. So we want. I'm going to go. I'm going to start with half an ounce. I might taste this after, but I'm going to go half an ounce of 1-to-1 sugar syrup in my drink. And well, in Laura's drink, because we are using amaretto, which is already sweet, packed with sugar, we might just put a tiny little dribble of sugar syrup in there, just because we've put that extra bit of lemon in. We're making this up, friends.
Well, I have seen recipes online for this amaretto sour with bourbon in it that does have a little bit of a teaspoon of sugar syrup. So even just a tiny little bit.
Okay, so we've got our sweet, we've got our sour. So now we're going to go for the fun stuff. All right, so amaretto sour. Here's our amaretto, and we're going to go, what would you like, 1.5 ounces? So would you like your amaretto sour to be more amaretto influenced or more bourbon influenced?
I would, well, it is an amaretto sour. So
we're going to go 1.5 ounces of amaretto.
I would think 1.5 ounces of amaretto and maybe 3/4 of an ounce bourbon-ish. Okay. Around that.
There's 1.5 ounces of amaretto.
I can take that.
Thank you. And as we saw before, we have our Woodford Reserve bourbon. And
if you don't know, amaretto is an almond, sort of marzipan flavored liqueur.
Made from orange pits. Orange pits? How about apricot pits?
Pits, yeah.
Okay, we've got some bourbon.
And also calls for a bit of bitters as well. This drink also calls for egg white, but we're not going to do that. You don't have to do that. In lots of fancy bars, they'll put egg white. When they shake it up, there'll be a foam on the top of it, but you don't have to do that.
Egg whites can be a little bit confronting to use because it's raw for a start. So you want to make sure you don't get any yolk in there. But the idea is that it gives this almost meringue-like consistency at the top of the drink. You get a nice foamy top to the drink, which then if you're using bitters, you can draw little pictures in or put droplets on. Well, you can.
You can. It's fun. I'm not sure how much bitters you'd have to use to put like a heart or something on top. It'd be like C plus L or something.
Well, we don't have any egg whites here. You can get pasteurized egg whites. So if you were in a bar, you might use egg whites out of a carton that are pasteurized, which is a good way to do it. But we're not doing that here. Now, if you were using egg whites, and we'll come to shaking in a minute, but you would do a dry shake first. You really want to shake the drink up a lot to get those egg whites to be fluffy. So you would put the drink together, seal the tins, give it a really good seal, and then shake it. Like, shake it hard.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine if you're trying to make meringue for baking, how much you have to actually beat the egg whites in a bowl. It takes quite a bit of an effort to do that. So that's what you're doing.
That's right.
But in a shaker.
So you give it a dry shake first, crack the shaker open, then put the ice in and give it a second shake. And that's how you would do that. But we're not doing that today, but we are going to use some bitters, and we're going to put some bitters in the drink, like
that's good.
That much. That was like 2 dashes.
You only need 2 dashes.
It smells delicious. Okay, so Laura's drink is ready to go. So we just need my drink. It's got some sugar in it. It's got some lemon juice in it.
Yeah.
And I am going to have a rum sour. And I have chosen, this is an El Dorado 8-year from Guyana. Which is quite rummy.
Did you talk about my drink ingredients?
Yeah, we had Woodford Reserve, which is bourbon from Kentucky in the US. Most bourbons are associated with Kentucky, so you might think that to be called a bourbon, it must come from Kentucky, but that's not the truth. You can have a bourbon made anywhere in the US, and to be a bourbon, the base product is made from at least 51% corn. So I'm using rum. It's a dark rum. It's 8 years old, which means that this rum has sat in barrels maturing for 8 years. Being rum, it's been made from sugar, in this case molasses.
Is it dark because it's been in the barrels and it's just the color from the barrels coming through, or is there any other ingredients that are to make it a dark rum?
It can be a bit hard to tell sometimes with different spirits based on color alone to give you some indication of age or quality. The reason for that is that there are so many different laws in different countries as to what they can legally put in a spirit. So when a spirit comes off the still, when it's just been distilled, it is clear. It's clear and it's colorless. So over time in the barrel, the spirit is soaking into the wood and then coming back out of the wood. I think about it like almost breathing. As the atmospheric pressure changes where it's stored, it causes the liquid to go soak into the wood and then come back out. And each time it comes back out, it pulls some of the color out of the wood. So as a rule, spirits that have been aged in warmer climates are going to do more of that action, and they will pick up color out of the wood more quickly.
What about humidity? Like, would it somewhere that's more humid or less, like more dry? Would that happen more in a drier place or a humid place?
The humidity is going to affect how much of the spirit in the barrel, the humidity and temperature rather, is going to affect how much of the spirit in the barrel evaporates or
yeah.
disappears over time. So the longer a spirit stays in the barrel, more of it is going to evaporate and be lost, which is not good economics for the distiller. But if you're in a cooler climate, let's suppose Scotland, it takes longer for a spirit to mature in the barrel. So it's not uncommon to see 10 years or 20 up to 20, 21, 30-year age statements on the spirit because the maturation has been more slow. But in Guyana, which is in the Caribbean, it has the potential to pick up a lot of colour in a relatively short amount of time. Now, what confuses it and why you can't take the colour alone as an indicator of either age or quality is that in some countries and for some spirit categories, they're allowed to add other things to the product to flavour and colour it. So in terms of flavouring or smoothness, in some spirits, sugar can be added to make the spirit more sweeter, smoother, more palatable, more drinkable. And in terms of colour, sometimes caramel colouring can be added to artificially colour the product. In this case, I can't tell you what has been done to this rum, whether it's unadulterated, but we're going to use it anyway. It is a beautiful colour, 8-year-old El Dorado rum. Here we go, and I'm going to have 2 ounces of that.
Ah, there it is.
Two and a bit ounces of that.
Cheeky.
I think they look about even now. Okay, so now we are ready to shake these cocktails.
Shall I get some ice?
Let's get some ice.
Here's some you prepared earlier.
Mine with my hands. So we're not going to be shy about the amount of ice we're using. This is just ice that's come out of our freezer, and it's funny shaped cubes. Again, if we're in a fancy bar, we might spend a lot of time and effort making really nice ice cubes, not only for presentation, but also for just this purpose. You want to know that the purity of the water that is diluting your drink is very good.
So you want to make sure if you're making drinks and your ice cubes, if you go into your freezer and your ice cubes are freezer burnt, rinse them off. That's a good tip.
I like doing that. It makes the ice a little bit wetter, so maybe it's not quite the same dilution that you're getting, but I do like just rinsing off, as you say, any of that unpleasant smell from freezer burn. Now this is interesting. For these 2 drinks, we have got shakers here. We've got shaking tins, and we're about to shake both of them. But a lot of cocktails get stirred, and we've got an example of our stirring glass here. It's heavy. It's made of glass, and if you were going to stir a cocktail down with our cocktail stirring bar spoon,
looks like this. So it's quite long.
But why are we shaking these ones?
Because we like to make shaky movements, like dancing.
That's one reason.
What's the other reason?
It's about the juice. So typically cocktails that have a juice in them, lime juice, lemon juice, orange juice, pineapple juice, will be shaken. Whereas something that is made of spirit or liqueurs alone, for example, a Negroni or a martini, will be stirred down. And the amount of dilution and the cooling effect is similar, but the integration of that juice and the way that it's strained, and also the fact that you've shaken it.
What about martinis?
Martinis, you would typically, the most correct way, I'm going to get in trouble. The most correct way to make a martini, because of that, it's just vermouth and gin, or vermouth and vodka.
Would be stirred then.
Would be stirred.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So why did James Bond like his vodka martini shaken, not stirred?
Depends on the bartender.
Well, I don't know.
If it
So-
was like,
How?
if it was a cute girl bartender, maybe.
Oh.
You would like it shake. Never mind.
So, we've tipped the ice in there, and we need to now seal this. I'm just going to give it a good hard smack like that. Because we've got ice in the shaker, and it's got cold, it's created a bit of a vacuum in there, which means that the tins will stay tight together, and hopefully we don't get any leakage. We're about to find out.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to shake away from yourself and away from friends and loved ones or clients at the bar.
Yeah, good idea.
Here we go. That'll do.
All right. I'm going to get a...
We need some glassware.
Yes, we need some glassware.
What kind of glass would you like?
I'd like a lady glass.
A lady glass?
Yeah.
What kind of glass is that?
A pretty one.
Okay. We're just going to get a pretty glass. And we're going to strain this cocktail because we don't want any ice going into the glass. We've got a Hawthorne strainer here that has a spring on it, and what that's going to do is catch any ice chips, and it's also going to catch any pith or pips that might be left in the juice. In this case, there won't be any because we strained the juice before.
Yes. Now, regularly something like this would probably go into a tumbler glass like this, but I like that glass.
The nice thing about the tumbler glass is that you could use fresh ice, and you could serve this drink
over ice.
Over ice.
If you were going to get this in a bar, it would be served in a tumbler. I would suspect.
An amaretto sour
An
probably
amaretto sour,
would be.
yeah.
And the other thing that you could do, if you're not particularly precious, is you could do what's called a dirty pour, in which case we're not going to strain this. We're just going to pour the whole thing into the glass, including the ice that we did shake with. But we're going to do this nice and classy.
You want me to take that?
If you hold that for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to pour this drink. Beautiful colour from the bitters. And this is going to be
Yeah.
the perfect size for this glass.
I don't know if a cherry's going to even fit in there. A nice garnish. If you were putting that drink into this a tumbler like this, a garnish that you might want to put in here because of the flavors in it would be a slice of orange and a cherry, or just a cherry. But because of the lady glass that I've chosen, it's not going to really fit that. But I would put a cherry in there, and then have the juice of the cherry just when you're finished the drink, have that cherry juice just at the bottom, which would be really lovely.
We're going to take a quick second, because there was lots of amaretto and strong flavours in Laura's drink. We're going to take a quick second to rinse my strainer and the top of my tins, and we'll be right back.
Cool.
Okay, here we are back. Nice clean strain, and we're just going to repeat the process.
Oops.
I made a mess.
Well, the floors.
Can I give you that?
Yeah.
I'll give...
Yeah. Hi, I'll be back.
Oops. Thanks, dear.
Sure.
As before, we're going to give it a nice hard tap. Find a hard surface. Now, that's better. I feel more confident in that. The other thing you could do when you were straining this, if you really wanted a beautiful looking drink in the glass, then you could double strain it, which means putting that Hawthorne strainer in the top and then using like a tea strainer as you pour it into the glass to really catch any ice shards.
I'm going to show you what that is. Oh, it's in here.
I will do that. And also just, I need a glass, dear.
Which glass would you like?
I'm going to have the same glass.
And that's...
We keep our glasses in the freezer because if you want a nice cold cocktail, a nice cold glass is a good starting point for that. So what we're going to do here is tea strainer, Hawthorne strainer, pouring. And mine too is a little bit big for the glass, but I'll come back for seconds.
There, you want me to? Do you want to put
Thank
that
you,
in there? All right.
Importantly, garnish time.
Would you like a cherry?
I would like a cherry.
Okay. Ah! I just spilt a little bit of it. I'm gonna have to get a napkin
We came prepared.
because I spill stuff sometimes. I'm going to go down for just one sec.
Just want to take a bit of a sip of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna wipe the bottom of that a little bit and hope I don't spill it again. Okay.
Okay, so here are our two cocktails. And we're going to garnish it with a cherry each. These are Luxardo cherries in Australia, which are insanely expensive. But they are
Really good.
delicious and really the best you can get. So just going to drop that in carefully. There's not too much syrup in mine, but we'll get a little bit of syrup for Laura's.
I'm fine for you to put some syrup in mine. That's okay.
A little bit of half a bar spoon of syrup there, and we'll just carefully drop that in. Drizzle that in down the bottom.
So I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the cherry juice at the bottom as well as the cherry, which is great.
So here we've made two versions of a sour cocktail. Mm-hmm. We've started with the base spirit. We've got something sour, in this case both lemon juice. We've got something sweet and then something weak, as in water or ice. We've diluted and chilled down the cocktail as well. We've got our bourbon amaretto sour and my El Dorado Guianese rum sour.
All right.
See how we did.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, yum.
Delicious.
All right, let me try yours. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Mine's a lot sweeter than yours. The amaretto is.
Amaretto, but that bourbon still comes through nicely.
But it cuts it a little bit, doesn't it? Like, I know bourbon's quite sweet anyway.
It is.
But I think it does kind of cut a little bit through the amaretto, because amaretto is very sweet.
Very sweet. And at the end of the day, if you want an alcoholic cocktail, You want to know that you're drinking something.
Yeah,
And we can.
it's very nice. I would definitely suggest this. And this is like, when would you have a sour as opposed to, like this type of a sour as opposed to a margarita? Or I feel like a margarita is more, feels lighter maybe, like a more sunny afternoon by the pool maybe, kind of. Like I don't think I wouldn't have an amaretto sour by the pool. I feel like it's an afternoon kind of inside, I don't know, inside-y kind of drink.
I don't feel that. I think that these are both passable as tropical fruity cocktail drinks that you could put an umbrella in if you really desired.
Maybe yours.
I think it's just what you
maybe
feel
yours
like.
more than mine. I think rum seems like a, but bourbon maybe, and I don't know. I don't think that seems like a poolside drink.
No, I'd be happy to drink it by a pool.
All right, I'd just be happy to drink it.
Delicious. Well, that's Sours with Chris and Laura.
Hope you enjoyed that. Let us know if there's a particular style of drink that you would like to see us making, mostly Chris making and me drinking it. And, or if there's any other questions about like what we've been, where they come from, where the ingredients come from, spirits, where they come from, and talking about how they're made. And what else? We didn't even talk about our outfits.
Flowers.
We're dressed in a tropical theme today. Why?
Because this was the shirt that I ironed.
Did you iron that shirt because I was wearing a tropical dress?
It's just the mood I was in.
Okay.
I mean, yes, dear. I wanted to matchy.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Yeah,
I
okay.
think I just want to drink my cocktail now.
Okay. Peanut. All right. Bye.
Bye.